What I have here is a Columbia CI. From the outside, it looks very much like a Columbia C, and it really is sort of the brother to the Columbia C. It's a CI, which means the I stands for incandescent, which means instead of running off a spring motor or a battery, it ran off household electricity or business electricity, which was 110 volts. In your house, it would be alternating current. This ran on 110 volts DC. Since not many people back then had electricity in their homes, this wasn't really the most popular machine, and so as a result, it's quite rare. It was used for home entertainment, but it was also intended to be used for business purposes, for dictating. So I'm going to open it up. The first thing you'll notice is it looks a lot like a bell tainter. This is right after the bell tainter era. In fact, it wouldn't look strange to have a bell tainter treadle machine on top of this box. It's very similar. And like the bell tainter, it opens up at the front. There are two pulls here. They're a little stuck. And the second one, then I can take off the lid. And you'll notice right away, it's got a longer mandrel. The mandrel is designed for the 6-inch records. Back then, they would have had 6-inch Brown records to record on. I believe at that time when this came out, which was 1897, that pre-recorded cylinders were available maybe in Europe, but I don't think they were available in the US until around 1905. These are the type of records that would have been on it. You could play on it. A Columbia 6-inch cylinder. And here's one. It's a little bit moldy, but these are hard to come by because not many machines played them. Like the C, it looks very similar, but there's no crank hole, which means this is original because there'd be a hole for a crank if someone had adapted it. You can see the wire's been replaced with wire that looks appropriate. So this is ready to go as an electric machine. On the end of the mandrel, you can see here a little tab, I guess we could call it. That's to help hold the cylinder onto the mandrel. You'll also see a stop-start switch or on-off switch. This was for dictation purposes. You wouldn't want to have to, as you pause to think about what you're going to say, stop the machine. So you could do this, it disengages it while the motor continues to run. Then when you press on, it engages it again, so you take up where you left off. Okay, so I'm going to bring you in close to take a look at the insides and a close view of the top. I'm totally into anything that reminds me of a bell tainter because those machines are so amazing. So this box with the lid on looks a lot like a bell tainter, but the top, once you open it up, is completely different, as you can see. This is the sort of more common looking Columbia mechanism with the flowers on it and the beautiful stenciling. This one, someone has adapted so that it can play 2-minute and 4-minute cylinders. Because even though the mandrel is 6 inches long, you can put a 4-inch cylinder on it and it'll play properly. There's a good look at the Columbia tag and that part I was talking about that would hold the cylinder on in case it got loose. And there's the on-off mechanism. And there's the start and stop mechanism. Beautiful machine. Let's open the top, or the front. And inside we have the reproducer. I have a feeling this one would have been from that era, would have probably been a gutta-percha reproducer. That's an aluminum one. And here's speaking tube. The end is missing. And let's take a look at that motor. There's the electric motor that ran this thing. Absolutely amazing. Beautiful piece of workmanship.